Hi, my name is Francois and I am a super teacher. Exams are almost over and the only thing left to do is to mark. It's probably one of those obligations of a teacher that is not so nice. Spending so much time during the exam marking exam papers. So in this episode, I share some thoughts on how to make marking manageable. Just before we jump into the new episode, just a little announcement. Next week will be our final episode for this year. Can you believe that we are almost in December? So in December, we're going to take a little break from the regular scheduled show and maybe just here or there film a few episodes, but we can then jump back into regular scheduled shows for January and for the next year. So I'm looking forward to that. So to celebrate the year ending, we're giving away 2 shirts. All you need to do to stand a chance to win one of these 2 shirts is be a subscriber on this channel and then leave a comment on this video. What do you put in the comments for this show? What was your favorite episode from the last few months? We started in August, it is now November, and we have got more than 15 episodes on the channel. Please let us know what was your favorite episode of all of them to stand a chance to win one of the 2 t-shirts. But for now, back to marking. Let's educate. At this stage of the year, marking could be that final straw that breaks the camel's back. It's this final hurdle that we need to overcome before the December holidays is upon us. Because of this, it is extremely difficult to remain motivated to finalize our marking. So I thought, let me share some of the tips that I would use when I mark exams, and maybe you can learn from it or you can adapt that to suit your own needs. One thing that I found beneficial is to keep marking in mind when you set your exam papers. Now I know not everybody is in charge of setting the exam that the learners will write, but if you are, keep in mind what would happen during marking. Do not set overly complicated questions which is difficult for the learners to answer, but then would extend and be much more difficult for the teacher to mark. In this way, you save a lot of time in streamlining the marking process. Time management is very important when marking. Know exactly how many scripts you have to mark and how much time you have before the deadline to submit your marks. There is nothing worse than realizing a day or 2 before the marks are due that you will not be able to finish if you don't stay up the entire night marking. This is extremely demotivating and causes a lot of anxiety. This can easily be avoided if you plan your marking well in advance. Whilst we are on the subject of time management, do not mark for extended periods of time. Don't sit down for 3 or 4 hours marking. Mark in sessions of about 45 minutes to an hour, but then break for about 5 or 10 minutes. Stand up, stretch, go to the bathroom, quickly walk outside, or even make a cup of coffee. Anything just to break the rhythm a little bit and just get the juices flowing again. What really aided me in staying motivated whilst marking is to do group marking. Get some of your peers who teach the same subject and arrange to mark together. In this way, you remain motivated because everybody is marking together and one is dependent on the other to finish marking a set question or a set paper before the other one can continue marking. In this way, you are motivated to keep up with the pace. What I found works best for group marking is to lay down some ground principles or ground rules for group marking. Things like mark in silence. Only talk when you really have to ask a question for clarity. Another thing that tends to happen during group marking is that when somebody finds an answer funny, they would tend to repeat this to the entire group. This is distracting. So rather, maybe take a picture of the funny answer and compile a list afterwards that during your debriefing that you can actually share this with your peers. If you prefer marking alone or you don't have peers that want to do group marking with you, the best trick would be find a technique that works for you. Some teachers like marking the entire script before moving on to the next learner's paper, or other teachers would like finishing question for question. Whatever works for you is best, but explore a little bit and see what saves you the most time. I have found that marking is similar than washing dishes. I would much rather do anything else than wash dishes. So I would find little excuses for not marking. Before you start marking, ensure you've got all your resources around you. If you like nibbling on snacks, make sure you've got them prepared before you start marking. Make sure you've got enough stationery for marking. Make sure you've got enough rubrics or memoranda so that you can just mark and not break your rhythm. Breaking your rhythm wastes so much time, and time is of the essence whilst marking. I have also found that memorizing the memorandum for an exam aids in saving time. Try and learn the answers to the question as quickly as possible, because then you fall into a good flow or a good rhythm, so you don't have to check the memorandum every single time. This saves you a lot of time when marking. Also, put away your cell phone. This is a source of great distraction whilst marking. I've also found that marking in a quiet space tends to save me a lot of time. If I have the radio on in the background or the television on in the background, it's extremely distracting and I find myself marking very slowly. So rather, get yourself a little office space or a quiet place, maybe even your classroom, where you won't be distracted. And then lastly, control your own bias. Sometimes you would see the name of a learner and you would immediately give them better marks based on the way in which you judge them. Rather find a way of ensuring that when you mark, the name of the learner is removed. This isn't entirely achievable, but what you could do is maybe open up all the scripts at a specific question where you don't see the learner's name immediately. But most important, do not let your mood interfere with your marking. So many times people would mark over the course of 2 or 3 days. And when they start, they are energized and they're in a good mood and marking goes well. But as they progress and they get tired or they get irritated or even angry, that influences your style of marking. This is unfair towards the child who wrote the exam. Ensure that you keep your bias in check by doing little things like marking one section of a question paper for all of the candidates in one day. Or maybe even break it down further and stick to a question. Finish question 1 in the morning, question 2 in the afternoon, and then if you have to mark at night, finish the next section during that evening. In this way you ensure that there's consistency when you mark, and this increases your reliability as a marker. And that's it. That's all for this week. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like and subscribe to this channel if you would like to see all super teachers unite under one banner so that we could make a positive difference in each and every classroom. Remember, if you'd like to win one of the t-shirts, ensure that you are subscribed to this channel and that you leave a comment on which is your favorite episode of all the episodes on the channel so far. Until next time, I'm Francois and I am a super teacher.